Could you just, in a minute, talk about yourself and Columba, this leadership organization you run?
Yes, my name is Tracy. I am the CEO. But if you want to understand me, you have to know I'm passionate about young people and young people thriving. The organization offers a values-based leadership program. We work in high schools. In fact, high schools serving some of the poorest communities in the country. And what we're all about is actually activating leadership potential in young people, but also helping schools to actually develop that capacity. So it's building capacity in schools to think about values, to think about ethical leadership, and how do we help young people actually, connect with that.
And I understand what you're doing is you're creating projects where these school kids are not being given the answers, but they're making substantial changes to the school.
So, one of the best ways of developing leadership is actually challenge young people with some real problems. So it's things like violence in schools, vandalism, teenage pregnancy, whatever the social ills are, as well as supporting educational outcomes.
I'd like to just make a bit of PR for you there. If anyone wants to support your work, please do so. It would be great work to do. But let's start with the question: is that you've got a position about being ethical. What do you think an ethical leader is?
For us, ethical leadership is really about character, and it's about values. It's about people really connecting with what it is that they stand for and living out those values. So an ethical leader for us leads change in their own lives before they try to influence others. An ethical leader is somebody who is driven by purpose, and that purpose is way beyond pure self-interest. For us, ethical leaders are also very influential, and they're influential partly because they're role modeling some of the behaviors and attitudes we really need in an ethical country.
So how do young people see ethical leadership, especially today with what's going on? What's their point of view?
They've lived through interesting times. They've seen quite a lot of different styles of leadership, and one of the first things we realize with young people is the notion of leadership being power over others drops away, and they start understanding leadership as responsibility. They start understanding leadership as service. I was asking some of our alumni, and our alumni are sort of aged between 20 and 25. What does ethical leadership mean to you? And the thing that stands out most clearly is ethical leaders do the right thing even when it's very, very difficult. Ethical leaders do the right thing even when they have the means to break the rules and the laws. Ethical leaders serve the collective, not just the personal. Ethical leaders are people that we aspire to be.
And so in your organization, Columba, which is what you're running and you're trying to teach people about ethicality, how do you go about developing ethical leaders? How do you do that? Because you can't just preach it, can you? So how does this work?
Absolutely right. And I think, John, one of the first things we've realized is the way we interact with young people is really significant. When young people start having an experience of being respected, of their dignity being respected, of being cared for, of compassion being shown towards them, it's almost like something young people just become almost compelled to return the favor, and they want to treat other people in the same way. Your point about you can't really preach it. You definitely can't preach it, and we would say it's even difficult to teach values. What you need to do is help young people develop a connection with values. I'll give you a couple of examples. We run a leadership academy, so we take adults and young people away for a week, and they have this intense experience with each day focusing on a different value. One of those values is service. At the end of the week, they've been served by people throughout the week, meals and so on. The last activity is actually turning the tables, and it's about them serving the people that have served them for the week. So they graduate into service. They leave that academy inspired to actually go and serve their communities, go and serve other people, serve the dignity of others. I mean, another example, awareness is one of our values. Awareness of self, awareness of others, awareness of the environment. And, they go on a nature walk. And we get to a termite mound. And we start talking about the ingenuity of this tiny little creature that can work in collaboration with a whole lot of other termites, create this incredible structure, incredible intelligence that goes into that design so that community can thrive. For young people, it's almost like a reverence and an awe for nature develops from that kind of experience, and they start seeing themselves as custodians of nature. We haven't taught them, they've just connected with that experience. But the other thing is, as we've said, it's like helping young people lead change. It's giving them practical challenges. Actually, they choose the challenge. They start working in teams. They start, coming up with solutions. They learn a whole lot about leadership, including how difficult it is in the process.
And you're dealing with people who are coming from really poor, difficult environments in the schools. That's right. And so it must be very easy for hopelessness to creep in there. But what do you see the connection between purpose and ethical leadership?
It's been totally intriguing for us to understand the significance of purpose. And, in the academy space, we already start challenging young people to think about, what's your personal mission statement? And I mean, these are, 15, 16-year-olds. It's not easy for them to define that. But what purpose starts doing is a couple of things. The one is, it's almost as if purpose elevates a person's sense of significance, a sense of self-worth. They start understanding that they've got a big role to play. They start taking their lives more seriously. They start taking education more seriously. They become more future-orientated. And John, I mean, the other interesting thing is we've realized that a young person who connects with a sense of purpose is actually almost inoculated against peer pressure. They start becoming much clearer about what they stand for and who they are. And the final thing about purpose is it takes young people out of their circumstances. It's not just about where they come from and what they're dealing with currently. It's much more about this imagined future possibility, the world that they want to live in, the life they want to create.
So you're providing something for them which would outside the context. So now they can imagine this alternative as something which they could engage with and be part of.
Be actively part of, yeah.
And in the same process, while you're educating these kids, you're giving them skills. Is that right?
So the skills develop quite naturally. If you're tackling a crazy problem like violence in a school, you're going to have to be creative. You're going to have to think out of the box. You're going to have to work with other people. You're going to have to learn to communicate effectively. So these skills that we call 21st century skills, there's a natural link between the development of those skills and the social projects that they get involved in.
Right. I want to talk a lot more with you about this, but I think we'll ask. Maybe we can when we do the panel discussion in a moment, because I'm extremely impressed with what you're doing. I think it's amazing. You're setting up you're transforming the nature of education, and I understand these kids are also doing very well academically, as well as doing these programs that you do in school. As a result,
so they outperform the national average in terms of pass rates and in terms of bachelor and diploma level passes. And we're always quick to say none of our program is about academics. It's just about inspiring people, connecting them with that sense of purpose.
Thank you.
Thank you.